Hi, everyone, and welcome to Humor in the C-Suite. This week's guest is Alan Grinberg. He began his career in commercial real estate with a focus on helping corporations save money. Over his 26 years, he has worked with a range of companies from rapidly growing startups to some of the country's most respected brands. Now, Alan serves as principal in the downtown Toronto office of Avison Young. As a result of his exceptionally broad experience, Alan advised and managed many major corporate accounts, including Panasonic, the Royal Bank of Canada, and the Motion Picture Association, to name a few. Now, his outgoing and endearing personality lets clients feel at ease and gives them comfort that they're in good hands as Alan delivers creative solutions to his clients' business challenges. I love chatting with Alan about how he uses humor to help clients or brokers starting out to make them feel a part of something special. So please welcome my guest this week in Humor in the C-Suite, Alan Grinberg. Hey, and welcome to Humor in the C-Suite. Hello, good morning, Alan. Thanks for joining us.
And thanks for having me, Kate.
Aw, I am so excited to have you on the show. Full disclosure, we met at my best friend's office, where she works for you, with you, and she adores you.
I adore her.
Your energy is so contagious and creative, and everything about you, just from the way you dress to the way you talk to people, connects people, and it's always fun to be around you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, like I was just so thrilled to meet you that day, and you were just so charming, and everything about you just made me want to hang out and talk to you and feel safe almost. Okay, so Humor in the C-Suite, we always start with what's your favorite joke?
Okay.
Do you have a favorite joke?
One that is slightly inappropriate, but not too inappropriate
Oh, it's
for
not a
that.
clean podcast. We
Okay, I
can,
guess so.
yeah.
Just one that always is easy. I love imitations and accents and just things like that. So I find that when you do that, it sort of lightens things up. So an easy go-to is about our friend, French fighter pilot Pierre, if you have never heard of him. And so we find ourselves with Pierre, the French fighter pilot, down by the River Seine with his love Marie. And they are very amorous with one another and they are kissing. And he suddenly takes the red wine and he splashes it on her lips. And she said, "What are you doing?" He say, "I am Pierre, the French fighter pilot, and when I have the red meat, I have the red wine." They continue to be amorous, and he go down for the breast. And now he is all exposing her, and he takes the white wine and he splash it on her breast. And she say, "What are you doing?" "I'm Pierre, the French fighter pilot, and when I have the white meat, I have the white wine." Then, of course, they continue, and he is good at what he does. And he suddenly exposed down there, and she is loving everything. It is perfect. And suddenly he take the cognac, he splash it, he take a light, and he start to burn her. And she say, "You are crazy." She jumps into the river Seine. She say, "What are you doing?" He says, "I am Pierre, the French fighter pilot. And when I go down in flames."
That's so dumb, but
It
so
is
much
the
fun.
stupidest joke that you can share with everybody and not offend too many people except a
That's
friend.
which, whatever. I love it. And the accents. I used to say, my dad had a French car, a Citroen, and we used to call it Pierre le Spectaculaire. So good job. Good job. I love it. I love it. Okay, so in what you're doing at work, and you have some crazy clients, like they're very high end corporate clients, not
I would say some.
but like, and yeah. So how do you find using humor helps you connect with them? I should say.
People gravitate to people that are comfortable in their own skin. And if you're confident, you're not cocky, you come across in a warm way that you're not trying to be over the top too much, but let people feel comfortable and groovy with you, then they're going to want to spend time with you. If you're not, then you're constantly worrying about what you're saying, you're parsing what you have to say. But I think once you find a real groove with who you are, and how to read a room and know who people are, then, and that comes with age too. So it's not something that happens when you're very young, but some people are better at it than others. But I try that a lot.
Yeah, and do you find using humor in your day-to-day life is something that you're constantly sort of aware of?
But it should come naturally,
Yeah,
right? Because it's not something that, everything that I'm focused on has to be about a joke. Otherwise, your life's a joke
yeah.
and you're not employed realistically. But it's how you infuse it through your day and create bridges of collaboration rather than the opposite.
That's
You know,
great, and that lends to your leadership style.
I've had the fortune of working with some young people growing up in the business, and they outgrow you in life too. They go off and that's part of life. But so long as you've done right by yourself and by them, given them good nuggets as have been given to you as I've grown up, that's the whole point of it. I think it's pass it on.
Pass it on, I love that. That is so perfect. And do you find, when you are dealing with these young people who are, gonna pass you eventually, because I find that too now, and I love it.
Yeah,
Because when I first started in comedy, there was 7 women in this country,
that's
uh,
fantastic. But that's
and
your whole industry until probably 25 years ago.
well, even, like, no, like, that was the whole industry until, like, I'd say maybe 8 years ago. Like, now there's so
Right,
many young women
right,
coming up who are
right,
so smart and so funny,
right.
and I love being a part of that,
Oh,
I don't yeah, and I think that shows confidence as well. Can you give me an example on how you might use humor with the, younger people that you're dealing with in terms of mentoring and leading them?
oh yeah, oh, yeah, actually. Um, you know, our whole business is in going to meet with companies at the C-level suite, win them over so that they trust you enough with their second or third biggest line item on their income statement, which is real estate after paying wages to companies. And we had a pitch it was almost like a joke where, you have a Scotsman, a Spaniard, a South African, a Greek, right? So I looked at the names. I'm like, this is a joke in advance, but this is Canada, really. It's
Yeah.
across. So I just started going through imitations. So this guy's going to sound like this, right? The South African's going to talk down to you because they're smarter, right? And they know more, right? The
That's
Greek
so
is going to be everything like this. Everything is like polikala. What else? The Scotsman's a wee man, so he's going to be fine for us. He's going to be on our team. And I forgot who the other one was. Oh, Español. Sí, no Barcelona. Alma Latina, porque the. And then when we actually met them, I showed a little bit of vulnerability with the team and just said, to be honest, this is sort of a joke in the making in a funny way. I hope you take it this way. But before we arrived, we saw 4 different names. Oh, you should hear the Scots lass. So they were already making fun of each other and they welcomed it because if you're not making fun of people in a rude way and you're trying to be ingratiating in a positive way to say, hey, I'm just here to try and feed a family
yeah.
and I'm just trying to get along. I don't want to butt egos with you. I check that at the door. I'm in real estate. So get along.
Ah, that is so great. And, really just dealing with people in the C-suite,
Yeah.
it's, do you find it like you use a different kind of humor when you're dealing with them than if you're dealing with someone who's just starting out?
I think everything in moderation in general.
Yeah.
Just know your audience, know how to play people. The problem with humor, remember, is that some people who, when they see that you're open and being funny and light,
Yeah.
suddenly believe that it's their opportunity to suddenly look at you as a fucking clown, which is not the case.
Right.
So I'm not your mina bird. I'm not here to chirp when you want me to. It's on my terms, on my boundaries.
Yes.
Right. And so long as you're kind about it in a nice way, then you control the narrative. But just don't let yourself be a bitch, if that makes any sense.
Can I quote you on that, sir? No, I'm kidding.
Yes. Yes, you can, Money Penny. Yes.
You can. I love it. And do you find what you guys do? People are working quite remotely now, and then some people are in the office, and the real estate industry went through a lot during the pandemic. Do you find like bringing people back to the workplace and retaining people of a younger generation? Do you find a lot of humor and team building really helps them?
Absolutely. We're dealing with an isolationist society, especially post pandemic. We're dealing with an industry that I had to learn how to pitch in
Yeah.
this box instead of shaking hands, getting close to somebody, letting them smell my nice perfume. Uh, but winning them over personally and shaking hands is more humane. That's what we do. We're social. So when we had to pivot, in 2020, suddenly it was, how am I going to be able to win over business with people in a box?
Yeah.
And I better be stellar. I better, it doesn't matter what my background, it's what's coming out of my mouth in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was pivotal. And so young people needed that because they needed to, I believe that it's easy to just sort of squirm at home and go into your own little cocoon. But at the end of it, we're social beings. We have to be out there. We
Yeah.
have to connect. And we're in the business of doing that. So we can't be hypocritical.
Do you find it hard finding a balance between maintaining, your professionalism and using humor?
I don't have that problem ever because I know
No.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Again, it's boundaries. Like, know your audience, know how to play, know when to be funny, know when to be appropriate, know when to be serious. Look, it's our life. This is how we feed ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we, in my case, this is my livelihood for the past 27 years.
Yeah.
You lose your ticket, your license for stupidity. And we see it all the time in brokerage, not so much on commercial, but definitely more so on the resi side. But it's just ridiculous. This is your livelihood. Know how to play, know how to win people over in a positive way by being gracious, but being genuine.
Yeah. No,
So,
absolutely. And you know what? I mean, a lot of times, when companies and people within those companies connect in the good times, when the serious times comes, they work better collaboratively.
of course, because they're comfortable
Yes,
and they know
exactly.
when to be funny with each other, and they're already on that same type of cadence where an organization that operates really nicely, people are on the same vibe. And part of my responsibility is, look, they give you a big title at Avis and Young called principal, right? That's if you're in layman's terms a partner. You can have 0.001% or whatever the company, but I'm a principal. But part of that really is a huge responsibility that
Yeah.
you're supposed to be. And that comes even if you're a principal there or somewhere else, that you should be giving those nuggets to those people that work with you. It's not being an isolationist, especially in your own company. It's supposed to help the young people. That's how the company grows. So I have to tell you, when I was a newbie in the business, I had my boss who had this policy that he implemented, and we were the guinea pigs, which was 200 dials a week. You had to pick up the phone 40 times a day on
Oh my
average,
God.
touch 32 calls, 32 people through the 5 days. So about 6, 7 a day that you talked to, and book 2 real meetings. And if you booked 2 real meetings, that was 100 real meetings a year. You were going to be fine. Right. And some people scoffed at it, but I was the guinea pig. And initially I was like, oh shit, 0 meetings, 0 meetings. This guy's going to fire me. I got a kid at home. I got now an
Yeah.
ex-wife. I had obligations. And
Yeah.
immediately 2 meetings, 2 meetings, 6 meetings. And it worked
Wow.
because there was a recipe for picking up the phone, not making excuses, and being funny and making it a game and turning yourself into something that, am I here to really enjoy what I do? Or am I here to make excuses of why I didn't and be like the rest of the 80% that make the 20% of the money as opposed to the other, right?
Yeah, I love that. It's like you were the Karate Kid of real estate.
I would not say that. There are far, far more. Um, uh, Longer in the business, more skilled. Listen, you know what you
Yeah.
know. I know what I do know. I love working on my side of the business, which is only representing a tenant or a buyer. So I'm not in the listing business of pushing for landlords. And that way I just represent one side. It doesn't matter to me where the tenant or buyer ends up, so long as they end up somewhere. I'm
Yeah.
representing them. And I feel good that I can negotiate hard for them. And landlords love us. They love it because we control tenants and buyers. So they want us to do deals with them. They're very nice to us.
Yeah.
So it's a fun business, really.
But also you're connecting with all those people using your amazing personality and your sense of humor and your levity, even though, it is, as you said, such a huge part of their business or it's their home for their business, which is so important to people.
For sure, 100%. This is where they spend more time than with their families.
Yeah.
So you better get it right. And, there was an old statistic years ago, pre-pandemic, like that the people that usually got fired the first on a move, meaning once they moved to the new location, were the people that were doing the move. The
Oh,
project manager within the company, the
yeah.
person that was not a project manager, but suddenly was given a task of, you got to move us from this location to this location. So for us, we feel for those people. So we work
Yeah.
really close with those people to try and make sure that they get where they need to on time, on budget, and with some fun.
And keep their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, it's really easy to sit here and tell you that, oh, I've been so successful in the business. I've had some great, fantastic years. Listen, we've also had anemic years over 27 years. You're going to have some shitty years too.
Yeah.
Um, but I believe that it's about attitude. I've sold my whole life on a commission basis since I'm about 17.
Wow.
So from call centers to recruitment to the ShamWow and the Slicer Dicer at the Home Show, Car Show, Boat Show, Truck Show,
The
I did it all.
rotato.
I am not kidding you. So
Yeah.
um, it's about attitude. It's about coming back after being turned down. Because I heard this once and I likened it because it's true. It's almost in our business where we go and we pitch to a company. And now this same company is being pitched by other companies. And you pitched them and they really liked you and they said they really liked you, but they went with somebody else. So you feel almost like you're in high school where, that girl that you were into, what happened to us? I thought it's
Yeah.
heartbreaking in a way because, you count on that in your forecasting of how am I going to make through this year. So we
Yeah.
have to be balanced in how we look at life. It's not only a joke, but at the end of it, you gotta make people feel comfortable, and laughter is one of the best ways, I think.
Absolutely. I always feel that way when I'm put on hold for events as a
Yeah,
speaker and then I don't get them. I'm like, why didn't you adopt me? What happened?
yeah,
What, why'd you go with yeah, so it's always, but when we use humor in those situations and don't take ourselves so seriously, we can keep going. It gives us
you have
grit.
to.
Yeah, absolutely.
You've seen even humor after funerals because something's got to break the tension, and we're
Yes.
we're humane, and that's okay. And guess what? If I was in the casket, I want people laughing. I
Yeah.
don't want them just mourning my. Come on, I want it
Yeah.
to be a celebration of life. That guy was fucking funny, man. I had fun with that guy.
Yeah.
But
He
we
made a
have to
difference.
be that magnet. Is my point, Kate?
Yeah.
If I'm not the spark that comes to the room, then what am I waiting for?
Yeah.
I'm just latching on. And that's, listen, some people are introverted, some people are super extroverted, but you have to have some kind of heartbeat that's warm, that brings something to the table that people will say, they're a good soul. I'll spend some time with them. That's how we build bridges.
Yeah.
When you infuse some humor and it's funny and it's not racist shit, like you're funny,
Yeah.
then it's going to be great.
And I find with like the next generation coming up through, whatever industry you're in, you being real estate, when they see someone like you in the office, they feel like they can be their authentic selves. And I think that's so important. Right.
I like that young people feel comfortable to come in to speak to me, to ask me questions about what did
Yes.
you do in this, and what would you do, and what do you think, and whether they take my advice or not is regardless. They came and they asked. So you also have to park your ego at the door sometimes, and
Yeah.
just say, they asked. That doesn't mean they're always going to buy. So just be that
Yeah.
person that's offering time in a meaningful way, that's useful, and it comes back in spades. I really believe that. Like, a great example is at my first company that I worked for in real estate for about 4 years. There was a guy that worked there, and he left. They got rid of him, but
Yeah.
he went on to the landlords, or onto the tenant side, I should say, of like a banking organization.
Yeah.
And now he was responsible for a whole bunch of locations. And the second everybody in the shop found that out, they of course called him. And he did not call them back. He called me. He
Wow.
says, "You were the only guy that was nice to me when I was there. The rest were fucking assholes, and now they want my business. You've got it." And we did about 5 locations until he moved
Wow.
on to another job where we did an industrial deal for 15 years. Like, so
Wow.
be nice to people. It really, it comes back around, I believe.
I'm always nice, even like, and even nicer to the people answering the phones, and we're
100. You nailed it, because the gatekeepers are the ones that really have a close relationship with the people we're chasing. And so many times, literally out of the gates, Kate, I will say, "Hi, I'm Alan Grinberg. I'm with Avis and Young. And what's your name?" "My name is such and such." "Well, nice to meet you. I know that you're the gatekeeper. And
y-
I know that you're the one that I have to win over in order to get to the person that I want to speak to. So I don't want to waste his time or her time or mine.
yeah.
I just want to tell you that this is what I do, and this is what I want to speak to them about.
Yeah.
Is that the right person I should be speaking to?" "Well, Alan, thank you for being so honest. No,
Yeah.
that's not the right person. This is the right person, and here's their number." Right? Be transparent.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Do they do a lot of team building at Avis and Young with
No,
every
I have to tell you,
Yeah.
um, they really, I've landed in a place where I feel at home.
Yeah.
And I've been there a year and a half now. But these are all people that I competed with and then did deals with on their listings. So jumping over there as a team of 8 of us was really a pleasure, because we knew most of the players there anyways. And the young people are hungry and fun and eager to learn. So yeah, we really felt great, and team building. They're doing more of that as we speak. So yeah, I love that.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's so
yeah,
great.
yeah.
And it's so important when people like, because you guys, you have your team of 8, but then you have all these people working for your team of 8, correct?
Well, you got to remember, in a big organization, like we're now a public organization, not a public organization, a private organization with 5,500
Wow.
employees,
Yeah.
and a lot of top line, and they're amongst players, like serious players, especially in North America. So
And it's such a competitive industry as well.
it is,
Yeah.
and it's really, when you, even if you've lost a pitch and you follow up with somebody and they're being brutally honest with you about why they went with the other team,
Yeah.
it's usually a razor thin issue that's so minute, but it boils down to trust, Kate. They
Yes.
either trusted that other team or you, or they didn't.
Yeah.
Um, you can have the best pitch deck and the best team and blah, blah. Who cares? It's noise. It's something intrinsic that the decision makers look at and say, I got a gut feel. I like these guys or gals.
Yeah.
That's who
And
we want to
humor
go with.
can bring people together.
I can honestly try and do that, but not force it. So it's
Yeah.
got to be under the right circumstances. And again, know your audience, know timing, know the room. It's a lifelong study that I still haven't figured out, but I've gotten really good at it by being myself, I guess, and just being nice to people and trying first that way.
Yeah.
Right. I always said to my, I don't know, if you're in some place and you're a subway platform, okay, it's just you and somebody else, okay, what is the problem for you to smile at that person if they've locked eyes on you? What is the problem? I've lost no ego. I'm not uh, a weaker man. My bravado, my machismo is still like. What if I? Two things are going to happen. That person's going to smile back, or that person is not going to smile back. And two things happen there. They're either not smiling back because they're having a shitty day, and that happens sometimes. That happens.
Yeah.
Or you know that they are a prick and you just at least tried. That's okay.
That's
You've
okay.
lost
Be
nothing
a
but a
prick.
smile.
But
That's
that's
it.
it. I smile at everyone and then I'll talk to everyone too. And my husband's like, "You know them?" I'm like, "No, but I do now." So,
Be nice. Got nothing lost
yeah.
unless they're
Have you
crazy.
ever had like where you've used some humor and it's been misinterpreted or it hasn't gone down so well and then you just
No,
sort of
no,
move on? Good job.
no. Know your audience. That's, I think,
Yeah.
really the key because, look, when you don't know the person, don't push the boundaries so far.
Yeah.
Play the it has to be gradual. This isn't a stand-up
Yeah.
routine where I
Yeah.
got you or some comedian freaking me out on the first show. Whoa, okay, wow. Like we're
Yeah.
working together. I got to build a
Yeah.
rapport here. I got to know some kind of okay, this person's coming in. I don't know exactly who they are. I know them from a resume. I know them from a little bit of interviews, but I haven't worked with them really. They haven't
Yeah.
heard me on a phone call. I haven't heard them communicate. This has got to be a feel out session. That takes time. So before you start bombing them with like the craziest jokes in the world, know your audience.
Yeah, and I think it's really more about not taking yourself so seriously and bringing that other than telling a joke or whatever.
Self
Also, I
deprecation is the best.
absolutely, and especially when you are a leader and you are in the C-suite because you never want to punch down, you always want to punch up,
Exactly. I always
right?
love it's the best way for you to also show more confidence that you're
Yes,
able to make fun of yourself.
I love that.
That's where honestly,
Yeah.
I think that at a young age, I realized that uh, I wasn't going to get any further if I was trying to get my ego in the way and trying to say I can do everything. I can't do everything.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, look, the guy that I've partnered up with now, right? Very methodical, very detailed, very scrutinizing, more than me.
Yeah.
I need that, right? Because I'm more bigger picture. Where are we? How are we positioning this? Right? Because it's also part of a negotiation. How do we do
Yeah.
these? So for me, it's a very, very good fit. So by finding somebody who's suitable that way and who gets you, but keeps you focused and you keep them focused, and you like spending time with your team, that's great. And that's why I'm so confident about where we are today with the company and where we are going. So right now, it seems very, very positive.
I love that because it's know your strength, right? It's know what you're good at and bring other people in to work with you who are good at the other things that you might not be.
Think about our business this way, Kate. You have so many different sort of left brain, right brain activities. What do I mean? To be a broker, you need to be able to physically pick up the phone and call people like a true salesperson, picking up a phone, dialing for dollars. Let's go. You got to book
Yeah.
meetings. If we don't get into the door, we don't have a business. So I need that side of the brain. Now I'm in the door and I'm selling. Okay, I'm pitching, closing, if you will, really sort of selling our services. That's again salesy. But now you get the assignment. Now you got to do work of a different kind. Now you got to actually delve into the lease, understanding the penalties, provisions, lease obligations, due dates, notices, understanding that side of the brain, the sort of the dry part of the business.
Yeah.
Then finding properties that are exactly right for them and suiting them. Then you have to go to the negotiation side. It's another side. My point is, it's so many different types of things. There's not one person that does it all perfectly.
Yes.
You need people that do different tasks in different areas better than you.
Yes, and that shows confidence in the C-suite. The fact that
Yes.
you can, as a partner, know your strength, know your weaknesses, and really lead and have a sense of humor about it. You might not be great at this. I know that. So I'm going to get and hire someone who is, you know?
100%.
Yeah, I love that.
100%.
Have you ever had someone like do you find you're a very different person at home than you are in at work? No, I knew that just by listening.
I'm actually the exact same person. That way I don't have to turn off a switch.
Yeah.
My wife knows me very well after 10 years of being with her. And I think that that's more honesty and easier for my relationship at home and at work that I don't
Yeah.
have to. I get it why some people would, or how they have to with certain pressures, but no, I find that I'm in a fun business. Like I'm in an
Yeah.
enjoyable business where how I choose to spend my day is up to me. I have obviously an expectation of what they want from me and the team, but the point is how we utilize our day is so flexible that it gives us that opportunity to be able to position how we want to live our lives. So what am I complaining about?
Yes.
Nothing, really.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, just going back a bit, I have one question for you. Do you find that because you said, you had to do all those calls every day and all that, are people connecting by email now or are you still making the kids call?
So, no, that's a great question. That's a great question. So, if you look at statistically, if I used to pick up the phone and call, probably 1 in 4 would pick up.
Yeah.
That statistic has gotten much more difficult, much more. So, in order for you to connect with somebody, you have to pick up the phone more often. That's a problem. So, certainly people are trying to induce uh, meetings by whether it's AI we're seeing now.
Yes.
We're seeing old style cold calls. I still feel is the best way to connect simply
Yeah.
because if you get somebody live, you're able to convince them. When you have somebody through an email or a text, it's easy to respond, no, thank you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's part of that.
Do
But
you use
there's
humor ever in your emails?
sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why
Yeah.
not? Like if it's something sarcastic that you know will fall on in an accepted way, then of course, why not? And go for the joke if you know that it's going to work.
I love my
And
PSs on my email. I'm like, PS, I've had so much Nespresso today.
yeah, perfect. Love that.
Yeah, like just little
Exactly.
things like that.
It
Yeah.
it humanizes it rather than as per your request, comma.
Yes.
Please
Looking
find
forward.
attached the documents that I'm forwarding you. Cheers. Because that's part of the day too. But you know, P.S. I'm not a robot. But yes, we
Yeah.
have to. Humanizing it helps.
Yeah, it's just I have so many younger friends and they're always like, "You're the only person I pick up my phone for," because they just hate answering their phones now. I'm like,
Well,
because 'cause they're always just texting each other, and I'm like, "I hate texting."
you
I
can't convince them. And once you get people on a
Yeah,
phone call, if you know how to evoke proper responses with you got to have a not a pop in your voice, but a cadence that's
yeah,
inducing people that I like the voice. I want to talk to them, or I want to meet that person, or what the hell
yeah.
is it about them that I like?
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
it's almost
absolutely.
like the allure of when you're what about that character do I like? So we have to be sought after, otherwise we have to keep chasing them. So I
Yeah.
think that helps.
Aw, it is fascinating because it is so intergenerational now, and, like, I just find with my kids who are, in their 20s and early 30s now, it's just like they're so good at boundaries, like, way better than I ever was, like, they just think so differently. I'm
Right.
like, "How are you okay with saying no?" I'm just like,
We were
"Wow."
it's very true, especially
Yeah.
to authority figures, especially.
Yes!
No
Yeah,
question. Yeah. It
yeah,
was, look, we can go down a whole rabbit hole about this whole society and where wokeism has taken us. And
yeah,
I believe it's on the wrong path with maybe good intentions, but hell was paved that way too. So I think at the end of the day, people just want to be treated with respect,
yeah.
be validated that I'm here, I'm included, no matter where, what, who, and I'm all about that. I think everybody should
Yeah.
feel that way. It's when those rights trump mine, and I'm not using Trump as in any other
Oh, yeah, yeah.
colloquialism, uh, with small t there, um, that is really when we have a problem, and that's really where the fight is now today. Um, and I'm
Yeah,
really more about identifying myself as just being
a
who I
good person.
am, not about my background, my religion, my
Yeah.
DNA. Kind of like
Yeah,
there's got to be a line.
absolutely. And humor and levity can and bring that all into play,
Yeah, for
right? It
sure.
makes people feel a part of something. A good inside joke, and coming back to that, like a good callback in comedy
We
makes it
have to.
all inclusive. Yeah.
We have to be able to make fun of things. Otherwise, uh, we're really in an Orwellian society.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Okay, I love ending it with this. I always ask people, what is the funniest thing that's ever happened to you? Do you have a funny story you'd like to tell us?
there's a crazy story that happened. I don't know if it's the funniest, but it's definitely sort of the craziest story, and it has
Go
to do
on.
with my father. So way back when I was in high school, um, there was this basketball game that was between two of the schools. My school, which was Mackenzie Collegiate, and Fleming, which was another school over by Wilson. Anyway, so they needed a mascot, and I was the head of social spirit, which was, sort of a student council job. So I was the mascot, which was the lion. And right about the same time, I had an account with Bank of Montreal. And for some reason on weekends, I realized that they didn't do a tally of their banking. It was like early days of bank machining,
Yeah.
and I could get some extra money. So I just figured this is like an endless fund that I could clearly. So sure enough, the bank calls my parents. I'm not at home. And there was a big event at school where I was this mascot. So my dad was furious. He's like, "You owe money to the bank." So he comes to the school, and the whole school is filled with rafters of kids.
Yeah.
And I'm the mascot. And
What are you dressed
literally, when
as?
I had just done like somersaults and cartwheels, I had left.
Were you
My
in a
father,
costume?
oh yeah, like the full lion's head and outfit, and so he comes in, one of my best friends sees him. He says, "What are you doing here?" So he says, "Where is the lion?" So he's, my dad sees a microphone like on one of the tables. They're announcing the game. He grabs the mic and he says, "Where is the lion with the magic finger?" From the bank machine. I was like, "What the fuck? Who's that guy, man?" And he leaves because I wasn't there. I went around. Anyways, he caught me later on at home, but
Oh my
that
God.
was one of the most embarrassing, funniest things that ever.
Where is the lion with the magic finger? I love that. Well, good for your dad. He was not
Oh yeah,
taking
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I used to steal their vehicles whenever, if they ever went out of town or something. So one day he decided, okay, I'm going to mess my son up, and he stole the car from school, so that when I came out, I thought that they stole the car. And
Wow.
had a heart attack basically until I got home and saw it parked, shining, with my dad waiting.
Oh, were you thinking, how am I explaining this to my parents all the way home? Of course.
What do you mean explaining? They were out of town. I didn't know that they were even at home yet. They came home. They used to tell me we're going out of town for 8 days. They'd come home after 7, like
Oh my
just to mess
gosh.
me up, catch me.
Uh, oh my God. I love that because my parents always like would take us to parties and just pile us like, we would just sleep on all the coats. Do you remember those days?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's true.
We had no rights. Go sleep in the closet. We're going to
I
party.
love it.
Thank you so much for being on Humor in the C-Suite. I've
Pleasure.
really enjoyed our conversation
Me too.
so much. And just the fact you were giving me your time, I'm so grateful, honestly. So
I
thank you
think
for
we're all
that.
lucky when you meet people that you like or that you drive with. Just
Yeah,
breathe in, breathe out, repeat. We're lucky to be here every day. At
worth
the end of the
solidifying.
day, we're very, very lucky. I love this country, and I think we are very lucky to be living here. And we just have to continue fighting for freedom every day to make sure that it is a great country.
Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely. Thank you so much.